I never thought my life could change in the blink of an eye. One believes that betrayal is always something distant, a story that happens to others, until it hits you, right in the heart. I still remember that night, sitting in front of my screen, watching a live stream that seemed like just another broadcast. We had done so many of these that I didn't think this one would be any different. But it was. That broadcast changed everything. What I saw that night was not just a betrayal. It was something I never imagined could happen to me. It wasn't just a friend or an acquaintance. It was two of the people I trusted the most, and worst of all, it all happened in front of an audience, in real time. I felt like the whole world could see my life crumbling while I couldn't do anything. How did we get to this point? How is it possible that the people you trust, the ones you love, can hurt you so publicly and so painfully? Today, I want to share my story. Not only so you can understand what I went through, but also so that, in some way, you might find a warning or perhaps a lesson in it. I remember how it all started. There was nothing extraordinary, no explosive spark. It was more like a gentle melody that slips into your life without you even realizing it. I met her through mutual friends, and from the very first moment, there was a connection. I don't know if you've ever felt that way, like you were meant to understand each other, like everything flowed naturally, effortlessly. That was us. We laughed about silly things, shared the same tastes in video games, and slowly, without even realizing it, we began to build a routine. As for the two friends, well, they had always been there. Even before. We were like a small inseparable group. In the world of streaming, it's easy to make connections, but it's also easy to lose them. We, however, were different. Or at least, that's what I thought. We streamed together, played, joked around. The trust among the four of us was palpable. I felt lucky to have found someone like her and to have friends I trusted completely. Live streams were an important part of our lives. It wasn't just a way to have fun, it was also a way to feel connected, to ourselves and to the people who followed us. The community we had built around our streams was something I was proud of. We weren't the biggest or the most famous, but we had that small corner in the vast world of the internet where we could be ourselves. She used to be the spark of it all, always with a smile, always cheering everyone on. Watching her interact with the community made me feel like we had found something special, both in our relationship and with our friends. Sometimes I wonder if there were signs. If perhaps, in those small moments that seem insignificant, there was something telling me that not everything was as it seemed. But at the time, I didn't see it. We were happy, or at least, I thought we were. Everything seemed so normal. We shared days together, laughter, dreams about the future. Who would have thought that, behind all of that, something was brewing that would end up destroying us? If you've ever felt completely secure in a relationship, you'll know what I mean. That feeling that, even though the world may be chaotic, there is a place, a person, or a group of people you can trust without hesitation. And that's how I felt, safe, confident, happy. At least, until everything changed. It was a night like any other. We were in the middle of one of our more relaxed streaming sessions, something we had done thousands of times before. She had been especially lively that night, as if she knew something special was coming. I was focused on the game, trying to keep the conversation flowing for our followers. There was nothing to indicate that this night would be different, until it was. I clearly remember how it started. Everything seemed normal until I noticed something strange in the live stream chat. A couple of comments appeared that seemed out of place, a bit provocative, but I didn't pay much attention to them. I thought it might just be part of the show, one of those moments when people get carried away. But as the minutes went by, the tone in the chat became more intense. My instinct told me something was wrong, but I didn't know what. At one point, while I was distracted by the comments and adjusting some settings, I decided to check the stream camera. And there it was, in the corner of the screen, an angle that normally wasn't shown. I don't know if it was a technical error or a deliberate decision, but what I saw left me paralyzed. She was in a corner of the room, very close to one of my friends, and what was happening was unmistakable. The movements, the looks, the physical contact. It was clear there was more than just friendship. My heart started to race. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. The sense of betrayal was so intense it was hard to breathe. How could this be happening right in front of our entire audience? The screen was filled with confused and shocked comments, and my mind was in chaos. I didn't know whether to scream, cry, or just disconnect the stream and run. The worst moment came when one of my friends approached her and joined the scene. It was as if everything was unfolding in slow motion. I saw the people I once considered close, sharing a moment that not only excluded me but was also a public betrayal. The image of those moments is etched in my mind with painful clarity, as if I couldn't escape it. I felt my world collapsing as the people in the chat started to realize what was happening. Minutes passed, which felt like hours, before the stream ended. The reaction was immediate. The chat was flooded with messages, some full of confusion, others of morbid curiosity, and many trying to console me, though at that moment I wasn't sure if it really helped. The reality was that I was devastated, and the sense of humiliation was overwhelming. The digital world we had built together, which I trusted, had become the stage for one of the most painful nights of my life. At first, my mind was blank. I couldn't process what I had seen, I couldn't understand why it happened or how to handle the situation. I felt as if I were trapped in an episode of some dramatic series, with the difference that this was real, and the pain I felt couldn't be erased with a simple click. How do you face a betrayal when everyone is a witness to it? How do you trust someone again when the pain and humiliation are so evident? These were the questions running through my mind as I tried to find a way through the chaos. The betrayal not only affected me but also our audience, our friends, and everyone who ever believed in the image we had projected. What do you do when trust is broken in front of the entire world? That night, those answers seemed more elusive than ever. In the following days, I tried to make sense of everything. The public betrayal became a constant topic of conversation. Every message, every comment, seemed to remind me of what had happened. People talked about it in forums, on social media, everywhere. Every time I tried to explain what had happened, I found myself faced with a wall of judgments and speculations. How do you recover from something like this? How do you trust people again after the whole world has seen your pain? Sometimes, I wondered if I would ever be able to feel normal again, to trust those around me once more. I felt like I was rebuilding my life from scratch, trying to find a balance amidst the chaos. Slowly, I began to accept that recovery wouldn't be quick or easy. I learned that while betrayal is painful, it can also be an opportunity to discover who we truly are and how we can grow from the toughest experiences. Ultimately, my story is not just about betrayal but about how I faced the pain and the challenge of rebuilding my life. It's about learning to trust again, not only in others but also in oneself. And it's about finding the strength to move forward, even when the world seems to have collapsed. If you ever face a betrayal, remember that although the path may be difficult, there is always a way to heal and move on. The night of the live stream didn't end with the broadcast. In reality, it was just the beginning of an emotional storm I hadn't anticipated. As soon as the screen went dark, my phone started ringing incessantly. Messages, calls, notifications. Friends, followers, even strangers were trying to reach out to me, offering support or, in some cases, morbid curiosity. I didn't know where to begin dealing with all of this. First, there was the shock. I couldn't fully process what I had seen. The betrayal not only hurt me personally but had become public, something I had never imagined. The images kept replaying in my mind like an endless loop of pain and humiliation. I wondered how it had come to this point, how the people I trusted the most could do something like this and expose it to the world. Then came the public reaction. Although I tried to disconnect and isolate myself a bit, social media was flooded with comments about what had happened. Some were genuine support, trying to console me, but many others were cruel and morbid, enjoying others' misery as if it were a show. I found myself at the center of a media circus I hadn't asked for. The feeling of being watched, judged, and commented on by everyone was almost as painful as the betrayal itself. The consequences were also felt in my daily life. The people around me, friends, family, all were aware of what had happened. Words of comfort and pitying looks followed me wherever I went. And although I knew their intentions were good, the constant reminder of what had happened only increased my distress. I felt like everyone was seeing me through the lens of that betrayal, as if that night defined who I was. Amidst all this, I tried to face the challenge of making decisions about how to handle the situation. Should I confront her and my friends? Or was it better to cut off communication and try to move on without seeking answers? The truth was I felt lost, with no clear guidance. The betrayal had changed the dynamics of our relationships in an irreversible way, and any attempt to resolve things only seemed to add more pain. At work, things also became complicated. Social media and streaming had turned into a sort of public battlefield, and I couldn't avoid the drama affecting my professional image. Projects and collaborations that were once exciting now felt like a constant reminder of what had happened. The loss of trust not only affected my personal relationships but also my professional stability. Dealing with the betrayal and its consequences was a tough journey. I found myself questioning everything, from my ability to judge people's character to my own worth. At some point, I began seeking answers in unexpected places, reading about how people handle pain and betrayal, looking for stories of others who had gone through similar experiences. Despite the chaos and sadness, there were moments when I began to understand that, although the betrayal had changed my life, it was also up to me to decide how to face it. The consequences of that night were profound, but they also gave me a new perspective on what trust, forgiveness, and resilience really mean. And even though the wound was fresh, I knew that somehow I had to find a way to heal and move forward, despite the pain and overwhelming circumstances. Recovering from such a public betrayal is no easy task. At first, all I wanted was to hide, to escape the gaze of others and the nightmare that my life had become. But I couldn't live in the shadows forever. Life, with its cruel continuity, kept moving forward, and I had to find a way to face it. I realized that the first step was to accept that pain was an inevitable part of the process. I couldn't simply ignore it or pretend that everything was okay. The days after the livestream were a mix of overwhelming sadness and confusion. I found myself sitting in my room, surrounded by memories that were once happy but now tainted by betrayal. It was as if every object, every corner of my life, was filled with echoes of the painful past. I began to write in a journal, not to share it with anyone, but to process my thoughts and emotions. On the pages, I found a way to express my pain and start to understand it. I sought professional help. Talking to a therapist gave me a different perspective, a way to untangle the complex emotions that were consuming me. It wasn't easy, but learning to identify my feelings and address them with someone not involved in the drama helped me find some peace. Therapy didn't solve the problem immediately, but it provided me with tools to deal with my thoughts and feelings more healthily. The next step was surrounding myself with people who truly cared about me. I learned that, although some had distanced themselves, there were others willing to stand by me without judgment. The family and friends who remained loyal gave me the support I needed. Spending time with them, doing simple but meaningful things, helped me regain some of the normalcy I had lost. New connections began to emerge, and I discovered that sometimes life can offer surprises in the most unexpected places. I started getting involved in activities that provided distraction and meaning. I found solace in hobbies I had previously neglected, such as hiking and photography. These pastimes not only offered an escape but also a way to reconnect with a part of myself that had been buried under the weight of pain. Walking in nature, capturing images of simple yet beautiful moments, allowed me to remember that there was still beauty in the world despite the darkness I had experienced. Gradually, I began to see the betrayal from a different perspective. It wasn't about forgetting or ignoring the pain, but finding a way to integrate it into my life in a way that didn't define me. I understood that trust is something that is built and rebuilt, and that my ability to trust others, and myself, could be restored over time. I learned to set healthier boundaries, to be more aware of warning signs, and to value my own well-being over the need for external approval. One of the greatest challenges was finding a way to forgive, not for others but for myself. Forgiveness didn't mean forgetting what had happened, but freeing myself from the weight of bitterness and resentment. This wasn't a simple or quick process, but in the end, I understood that forgiveness was a powerful tool for my own healing. I accepted that, although I couldn't change what had happened, I could decide how I would live my life from that point on. Healing was a journey full of ups and downs. There were days when I felt I had made progress, and others when the pain seemed overwhelming. but gradually, I began to feel stronger and more at peace with myself. The betrayal had left a mark on my life, but it had also taught me valuable lessons about resilience, self-acceptance, and the importance of surrounding oneself with those who truly care. Today, I look back not only with sadness but also with a renewed sense of hope. Life goes on, and although the scars will always be there, so will my ability to move forward and find happiness in simple things. And in that healing process, I discovered that, despite everything, self-love and self-confidence can flourish even in the darkest moments. Now that some time has passed since that devastating night, I find myself in a different place, looking back with a mix of reflection and acceptance. The betrayal, though painful and humiliating, has become an integral part of my story, not as the main title, but as a chapter that, while painful, has shaped who I am today. I remember that at the moment of impact, everything seemed endless, as if the pain and confusion were an unending sea in which I was trapped. The feeling of being watched and judged by the entire world was overwhelming. But over time, that pressure began to fade. I started to understand that, although the betrayal had been public, my ability to heal and grow was in my hands, away from the critical eye of others. One of the greatest lessons I took from this experience is the importance of self-compassion. Amid the whirlwind of emotions and external judgments, I often forgot to be kind to myself. Self-compassion didn't just mean forgiving myself for what had happened, but also recognizing my humanity and my limits. I learned that it's okay to feel hurt and that pain does not define my worth or my ability to move forward. Another valuable lesson was the importance of rebuilding trust, first in myself and then in others. The betrayal had eroded my faith in people, and rebuilding that trust was not a linear process. There were moments when I doubted my ability to judge someone's character, but there were also moments when I discovered new ways to establish meaningful connections. I learned that trust is built gradually, and each relationship, each interaction, is an opportunity to start anew. Sometimes, the deepest lessons come from the most painful experiences. What I went through taught me about inner strength and resilience. I realized that while I cannot control what happens around me, I can choose how to respond to it. Choosing to face the pain, seek help, and surround myself with people who truly care about me were crucial decisions for my healing. Life showed me that even amid adversity, there is room for hope and renewal. Today, when I look back, I don't just see suffering but also growth and transformation. The experience has made me more aware of what I value in relationships and what I am willing to accept. I learned not to place my self-esteem in the hands of others, but to find value in my own ability to overcome challenges. The betrayal gave me a new perspective on what true resilience and courage mean. The final reflection I have is that pain, while deep, does not have to define my future. I can choose how to live my life from here on out, with a greater appreciation for simple things and a deeper understanding of what it means to trust and love. Life goes on, and although the past will always be there, it does not have to dictate my destiny. Healing is a continuous process, and each day is an opportunity to move forward, learn, and grow. If you're going through something similar, I want you to know that you're not alone. Betrayal can be a devastating experience, but it is also an opportunity to find your inner strength and move forward with a new perspective. Don't underestimate your ability to heal and find peace, even amidst chaos. Your journey, though painful, can lead you to a place of self-awareness and personal growth you might never have imagined. Hold on to hope and keep moving forward, because, although the path may be arduous, the possibility of a brighter future is always there.